Good afternoon. Would you please take your seats so we can start the work session? This is the City of South Fulton City Council work session for October 24th, 2023, 4 p.m. It's the roll call for tonight's meeting. The Honorable Catherine F. Rao, District 1.
Present.
The Honorable Carmelita Gums, District 2.
Present.
The Honorable Helen Z. Willis, District 3.
Present.
The Honorable J.C. Sebastian, District 4.
Present.
The Honorable Corey A. Reeves, District 5, is not present. The Honorable Natasha Williams Brown, District 6.
Present.
And the Honorable Linda B. Pritchett, District 7.
Here.
And the Honorable Mayor Khalid.
Good evening. Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to the Southwest Arts Center here at 915 New Hope Road, 30331 for our combined work session and council meeting. We'll be here doing a work session and a council meeting every fourth Tuesday, and every second Tuesday we'll be at Welcome All. Thanks to our incredibly efficient new city manager and our new schedule, we hope to have a much shorter meeting tonight. We got a smaller agenda, and so we're going to get right to it. You can sound the next item, Mr. Clerk.
First item is a presentation. Mr. Blake Doss will be presenting.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Thank you, Council, Mr. Mayor, for giving me a couple of minutes. I know y'all have got much more important items on the agenda than to listen to me speak, but I'll try to be very brief and give you an update on our broadband project, which we're very excited about. I'm Blake Doss. I'm the Government Affairs Director for the Greystone Power Corporation. Been on the job for about a year now, so trying to Mr. Adams, if you'll hit next slide for me. So we're doing a fiber to the home project. Fiber is the best broadband technology that you can have, symmetrical speeds up and down. And we are putting this over hundreds of miles of our electric infrastructure, both above ground and underground. And we're going to do it just in Greystone Power's territory. Now, that doesn't mean every Greystone member will be able to get access in this initial phase, but we wanted to make sure that people understand if you got Georgia Power, we're not going to be able to get you. We're staying inside our service area. So we're going to hit about 5,000 locations here in South Fulton, in Douglas County, Eastern Carroll County, and a small portion of Paulding County. So why are we doing fiber? I mean, it is the gold standard. It's fast, it's reliable, it's easily upgradable, and you're able to transmit a lot of data, a lot of volume. So another thing I wanted to touch on to Councilwoman Rao's reliability presentation we had a couple of weeks ago. This is going on our electric grid, and it's going to help increase our reliability as well, help us find where outages are outside of the actual broadband business. So we're excited about that portion too. Like I said, going on our electric grid, I also wanted to make note that the reason we're doing it on our electric grid, especially the overhead, is it's going to help us keep costs low, and so our costs will be much more affordable, much more competitive than a lot of other providers. And just a word of caution, it's at least a 12 to 18 month build-out process. We're in the first 6 to 9 months, depending on where we're at in the project, which location. So we're in the initial phase now. We are planning for phase 2. Just want y'all to be aware it takes some time to build these projects. So where are we in the South Fulton area? We are in the make-ready construction phase, which means essentially we're driving. You've probably seen our trucks in the area now. We're driving to check our poles, check our underground infrastructure, essentially make sure the poles are tall enough that do we need to move wires up and down, make sure that our crews are safe. We're building this out also in phases, but also in zones. So these zones are based on our electric circuits, so you'll see different zones built out at different speeds. So South Fulton has about 4 electric circuits in this broadband project. Each person in that zone will be in a different stage of the project compared to the next zone. And I'll show you all on the map here in a minute. So our services, we're going to do residential and business. I'm going to tell you about the residential packages here in a second. I did want to make mention, we have a new broadband vice president coming on board first of the month, and he's going to be able to give you all more details that Ms. Sharon was very interested in when I met with her a few weeks ago for your local businesses. And we'll make sure that once we get those business prices and packages ready, we'll swing back by, give you all some information on that. So our packages, we have 3 packages. The basic package is 100 megabits per second up and down. So incredibly fast for a basic package. I think it's incredibly affordable compared to the copper service I have at my house, which I wish I was getting this because I pay more for less where I live. At $50 a month, we think this is going to be great for our members and your constituents. The deluxe package will be 1 gigabit per second, and that's been all the rage in the broadband conversation for the last few years. Can you make it to a gig? That's our medium, and that's, lightning fast, incredibly reliable. That'll be $80 a month, and then our top speed's 2 gigs, and that blows everything out of the water, and that'll be $100 a month. So this is the zone map that I was telling y'all about. So off to the right, obviously, is your city, and we'll be building each zone at different times. And like I said, we're make-ready construction right now. We'll be moving into the construction phase soon, but that construction phase will take some time. That's when we'll actually be laying the fiber on our lines in your communities. And we expect to light up our first customers in the first half of the year. And I would guess, if I can remember the Excel sheet correctly, that we will be lighting up our first customers in the city of South Fulton around May, June-ish. So one other thing I wanted to note, we will be sending out a letter from our CEO, Gary Miller, once we get to the construction phase, which will go out to anybody who's actually eligible to subscribe. So that green area covers our entire circuit, but that doesn't mean everybody in those green areas will be eligible for service. So if they get a letter, they'll be able to go online, subscribe, go through the sign-up process. If you're not eligible in this first phase, if you go online, try to sign up, it'll send you to an interest tool where you can put in your address and your name, and that'll let us know you're interested in service, which will help us plan for our next phases. And I believe that's it for me. Tried to get through that pretty quickly. If I can answer any questions, I'd be glad to. If not, I appreciate your time.
All right, is there, I see no one in the, there we go, Councilman Sebastian. He's joining us online.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks for the presentation. I just have a small question, and you kind of mentioned it when we saw, when you showed the map.
Yes, sir.
I've heard some citizens complain about current access to broadband from some providers, and they would say things like, I know service is in my area, but it's not on my street. And you mentioned about the, it's going to be available for customers who have service already for Greystone.
Yes, sir.
So are you saying that in an area such as the Cedar Grove area, on the road, and some of these other areas that are very rural, if they have Greystone power, then they're going to be able to get
So
this type of broadband
not a for sure thing. It just
available to them
depends.
as customers?
I'm sorry, it just depends on the exact location. So our goal with this project, our board's goal was to ensure that we hit unserved and underserved areas first, and we tried to do as many in a central location as we could. So it really just depends on where they are on the line, and we'll have to determine that based on the map. So specifically to your question on geographic specifics, I'm not sure. I would have to look at the map and double check based on our data in our system.
And how would you work with the city to identify areas that may need the service but currently does not have access, that you could potentially add those areas?
So for this first phase, we're locked in because we're already in the construction schedule for the first 5,000. But what I would suggest to anybody would be to go online to greystoneconnect.com and put their address and name in, express interest, and that will help us in one way. We're also doing a second study right now to determine where the next block of unserved or underserved would be, in addition to the fact that Ms. Sharon and I have sat down. We've had those discussions. I expect we'll continue to have those discussions as well about where Greystone Connect can fit in the picture, and on the power side, where Greystone Power can fit into the picture and help be a good community partner.
Okay, I'll get with Ms. Subadan and see what she has, and then we'll go from there. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
The chair recognizes District 3 Councilwoman Willis.
Thank you. The only thing that I ask is when you all start the construction for fiber, that you work closely with our Public Works Department on a schedule so that we can notify our constituents, because a lot of times utility companies come into our city and they start projects and we have no idea what's going on, and then residents go out and talk to the utility companies and find out what's going on.
Right.
So it would be great if we know when you are going to start construction, where you're going, and how long it's going to tie up traffic.
Absolutely.
That would be very helpful.
Absolutely. We will definitely do that. I have a construction schedule that's sent to me weekly. Well, one that's sent to me daily and one that's sent to me weekly. And I'll be able to give you an idea of where we're going. And of course, our engineers work closely with public works departments a lot too, so we'll work that in as well. But I'll work with you as well to make sure you know.
And I know inclement weather can slow things down, so unforeseen circumstances can happen, but we just need a general idea. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, I have one.
Yes, sir.
A point of clarification and a question. This will cost the city absolutely nothing.
That is correct. Greystone Power went and took a loan out, did this ourselves, didn't take any grant or loan money from the federal government. We wanted to be able to get this service done as quickly as possible, no red tape, get it to you as quick as possible.
Thank you so much for that. I was wondering how it was you were able, there are other companies that have approached the city about doing things like this, but
Right.
you know, they wanted some sort of matching money or funds from the city. So thank you for doing it in just this way.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is listed as item 2 under presentations. Reg'nia Majors Speed Camera Ordinance and Travon Wilkens Pedestrian Safety Fund. Discussion by Mayor Khalid and Finance.
All right, I believe this is Madam Subadan. You have a answer back for some of these questions that our colleagues have had.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Can you hear me? Barely. The portion of this, I'll take the finance portion of it. We were requested to provide the accounting for the speed camera program, not just the Reg'nia Majors traffic calming fund, but the entirety of the collections. In my memo sent to you on the 17th of October, I shared that through September 2023, we had collected $13,107,435.60 since 2020. 75% of that would be allocated to general fund, 25% or $3.276,858.90 to the Travon Wilkens Memorial Pedestrian Fund. Should have been allocated that way. It was, in practicality, it's all in the general fund, even though we did a funding, we set up a fund, Fund 211, for the Travon Wilkens Fund. It was never actually allocated that way in our financial systems, but no money is lost. All the funding is there in general fund, and we will be moving to correct that as we go forward. I outlined for you on the general fund side, in addition to funding being part of the general fund, $578,000 was spent on the Bearcat and the training trailer. The Bearcat is a police piece of equipment. The training trailer is a fire piece of equipment. On the Travon Wilkens part of the fund, $238,978 was spent on traffic calming, flashing signs, and roadway striping. Each of those items came in front of this body and was approved. During our closeout process at the end of the fiscal year, well, end of the fiscal year has come. During our closeout process, we will be showing the Fund 211, which is a Travon Wilkens fund with a balance of $3,037,000 as a restricted fund balance, and all future collections of the 25% will continue to go to that restricted fund. The remainder will be in general fund also as restricted. So that is what has occurred over the time frame when the collections have been made. I provided the detail by month for your information, and it is not my recommendation that we change any percentage, because it's clear that there is sufficient funding for traffic calming at this time. Perhaps in the future, if the need for traffic calming outstrips the 25%, then you could revisit it, but at this point, I wouldn't recommend that you change that. I will turn it back over to the mayor regarding the changes to the legislation that have been suggested. And I think if the thresholds are adjusted, we'll have more success in completing the traffic calming projects that we already have received petitions on, as well as assisting and supporting the community with completing the petitions so that we can get some of these programs completed. In this current year's budget, we have allocated funding for the 25% has been allocated for traffic calming, and there is a note in there that it's spread among all 7 districts. And with that, I'm subject to your questions on the finance side of this agenda item.
Thank you, Ms. Suidan. I want to first say that I concur that 25% is enough, if only because the amount of revenue we have generated from tickets is so high. I have to say I'm still a little alarmed that we have made over $13 million in tickets. That's just a very big number. But I am in complete agreement. I passed out. This is not necessarily for discussion today. You can if you have questions about it, but we pulled a lot of things off the agenda using this new using this new system that we have of making sure that everything has been seen by staff and that there's an implementation process included in all of the legislation that we're doing. That's a change that I think is being proposed, and I am, is it being proposed or did we pass that already?
It's been passed, but we need to adjust the language that
Right.
describes the work session, so that'll be coming to you for modification, but you
Right.
did pass the new schedule.
Thank you. Thank you. I knew I saw it this week. But yes, in these new changes that we've made, this is one of the first ones to be the guinea pig to go through this. So first, thank you so much, Public Works Administrator Antonio Valenzuela, as well as City Attorney Vincent Hyman. We incorporated a lot of those comments in the legislation, which you all will be able to see in the OneDrive. I just wanted to give this top sheet out. I know, Madam City Manager, you had mentioned that there had been some confusion amongst staff and maybe other folks as well around what the legislation was trying to do, which is what you said, just lower the barrier for people to get these traffic calming devices, but also raise the standards by which we communicate with our residents about them. So you'll see that we are requiring the Public Works Department to produce the actual petitions and to make them available online because it is 2023. And we can also capture all of that data, those emails and things, so that we can continue communicating with our residents. And with that, I will open it up to any questions or comments. All right, starting with District 3 Councilwoman Willis.
Thank you. So just so that I have clarity, basically the only thing that you're proposing is that we drop the petition from 75 to 50 plus 1%.
Oh, no, there are many more changes than that.
Okay, I just need to understand 50 plus 1%, and then what else? Are the changes in the
The changes in the document, but I will give you some of the top notes from this graph here. The first is that the Public Works Department creates the petition so that there's consistency across the petitions, and as I said, we can track that data.
Okay, do they already do that now? 'Cause
No.
the Public Works, it comes from Public Works.
Well, the legislation says that they approve a petition. It doesn't say that it is required to come from Public Works.
Yeah, so whenever I have a request for traffic calming, I reach out to Public Works, and Rusan usually sends the petition and handles that part. So that's already happening.
Well, this just mandates that what is happening for you will happen for everyone, because it wasn't actually in the law.
Okay.
Or at least as I read it, it wasn't made clear. And there was actually some conversation in the legislative process about whether the department was required to approve or whether the department was required to produce. There's a conversation you see.
So right now we are asking for the department to approve.
We're to produce and approve.
Okay. Okay.
The next big change is there is a standard that if more than one person a year is dying, that they will get some sort of traffic calming. There's a range of traffic calming to include a public awareness campaign, so that at the very least, everyone whose petition is approved, they will at least get a public awareness campaign, if not something more. What we've seen often is that people will want a speed bump or they will want a stop sign, but instead they will be given, one of those temporary speed checking things that are there for 6 weeks. So this requires that every option that is available be explained to the residents, and if they want something more than what the city is recommending, that they can petition to council, and that we would hear the case, and in the case that they want something else because it's their tax dollars, if they want more, then they can get more. It makes a way for them to do that. And then lastly, it does state that the all of the traffic calming will be paid for out of the city's general fund, which means that we won't raise taxes or apply some new fee. We've already taken their tax dollars. However, if there are people who do not want to wait, because obviously once we make this easier, there's going to be a line of folks. If there are people who do not want to wait, they can skip the line by using a Public Works approved contractor to implement the plan. So they'd still have to follow the Public Works plan, but if they don't want to wait, they can hire someone approved by the city, which will hopefully give some of our many great subcontractors in the city more work to do as well.
So with them hiring an approved contractor and not waiting to go through the process, of course, the onus of payment would be on those individuals.
Yes.
HOAs. Okay. And one last question I have. So say when people request for traffic calming, there's typically a study that has to be done, and the study may come back and say, instead of speed bumps, they need speed humps. And if the HOA says, no, we want speed bumps, for something like that, that goes against the recommendation of the study, is that onus on the HOA?
No. All the projects will be paid for out of the general fund as funds are available. So, but what happens is if the people want something different than's been recommended by the department, then they would come to us. If a majority of the people say we want speed bumps instead of a stop sign or striping, then they come to us, and then it would be up for us to decide whether or not we will approve that.
So I do like the changes, and I do like the only thing that I am I just don't want to go against the recommendation of, subject matter experts, because sometimes, we're not engineers, and if the subject matter, for example, there are several people who don't want roundabouts, they want traffic lights. But then the study says that the traffic light will cause more problems and more congestion than a roundabout. And so I guess I just don't want to go against, I don't want the public to overrule the subject matter expertise in the study that comes back from people who are engineers, traffic engineers, and have the subject matter expertise to make recommendations and decisions. So if we can kind of tweak it to, yes, we will pay, but it has that payment must be, we will pay for the traffic calming, but the recommendation that the city provides, I'm more amenable to that, because I just don't want a subject matter expertise not to have. Because we're not traffic engineers. I might think I need a traffic light, but
No, I hear that.
Okay.
That's fair.
So can we change? Are you amenable to that?
Yes.
But
But
I support everything else.
All right, next in the queue is, thank you, Dr. Rao.
Thank you for the opportunity. I know I've gone through this traffic calming process with a number of communities, and our current process already allows residents to see at least 3 options for traffic calming. I don't think, and I agree with Councilwoman Willis on this, we should not be overriding traffic engineers' recommendations. They've kind of vetted that, and it kind of takes us out of that space. So I think the current process works. I think what the issue is the threshold, which I think we all agree needs to be reduced. In the interim, I would like maybe the city manager to work with Public Works, because some of these traffic calming solutions, the Public Works should already be able to see that they're a problem without the community petitioning them. And I would like to see recommendations for Public Works. If it doesn't require it and we know it's a challenging intersection, can they bring those recommendations back with the cost estimates for us to consider? Because they get see, click, fix. Over the years, we've shared information we've gotten from our constituents about areas that are problems so that we don't have to take them through that sign, and if we already know the intersection has proven to be a problem.
We can do that. I will tell you, standardized, every engineer will tell you no speed bumps, no speed humps. Every single one, every time. And because this is so controversial in communities, that's why in almost every jurisdiction, we allow the community to bring it to us so that if there's this disagreement inside the community, it's majority rules. And it sort of takes us out of it. We make sure that the traffic standards are met, the proper traffic standards are met, but generally, local governments do not preemptively put in speed humps or speed bumps or traffic calming tables. You know, there's all three types. However, I will say things that come to our attention about troublesome intersections. I know we're already looking at it, but we could be more proactive looking at other alternatives that can be as expensive as roundabouts or potentially additional signage and striping.
Thank you for that. So again, I totally understand in the neighborhood that would be an issue and you would want consistent for the residents. I'm talking about maybe those main thoroughfares where we know our data shows that we need to be looking at something rather than waiting for that. This money is sitting here, and if you brought it back and say, hey, Councilwoman Willis or Rao, we have had a lot of accidents or whatever in this area, and you have money earmarked, would you be interested? Because it's probably something we've already identified anyway. That's the kind of traffic recommendations I'm asking for Public Works to bring back to us so we don't have to wait and go through this signature process.
Understood.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Councilwoman Gomes.
Thank you for actually putting time in to work on this, and I definitely appreciate it. My comments are similar to both my colleagues, Councilwoman Willis and Rao. The threshold has normally been the issue. I think with this, first, has it gone through our own legislative process? I couldn't determine that. Did it go through our own okay. The next question would be, because it takes them quite a long time to do this traffic calming process, and is it different for just residents versus the HOAs? Like, because what if we have a lot of defunct HOAs? Have we made any provisions in this? Because I'm gonna be honest, I haven't had the opportunity to go all the way through it. But have we made provisions for those residents that have a defunct HOA for them to be able to go through this process?
Yes, there's actually, in this process, there is no difference. And I think that one of the very helpful things is that this process will require an online petition to be made. So people don't have to go knocking door to door. They can sign an online petition and, have it verified that way.
Yeah, I think they do it now, but that is helpful. Also, too, City Manager, I know we've been having a lot of issues traffic-wise, and of course, traffic calming is a very big part of this process. And of course, we have the parking amendment that we just did. Do we have the staff and the support to actually implement this policy? Because that is the biggest thing that we're facing, is implementing this policy. So once we pass this, of course, you'll start getting the HOAs, reaching out and wanting to go through this process. Do we have the capacity to actually take this on?
I think that my favorite saying is you can't have anything, but you can't have everything. And so if we get inundated, I think it'll be a challenge for us. To be fair, I think those communities that have already applied, and on that long list of communities, you remember there were only 3 or so that were approved. I think those really need to go to the front of the line. So what's helpful to us is if we have an implementation plan when you pass legislation. What's also helpful is if there's a wait time. So, because typically what happens is you you approve something in this meeting and we start getting calls tomorrow. It still has to go through a process even before it's law. And so I would say that we can always use extra help, but there's extra contracting help we can get, and we can also engage others to help us with where things are falling into kind of into the cracks, like the petitions.
Well, I think with the mayor, we talked about this before, as having a timeline of when to start really implementing. I believe they can be in the fact-finding and gathering phase. And there has been a lot of residents that have been on this traffic calming waiting list for quite some time, so I don't know where that data is. But if there's maybe a possibility of, 45 days or 90 days, I think we talked about from how to implement it from that once it's adopted. So that's just probably one of the biggest things that I was really concerned about, because again, we have parking amendments that we still haven't, and I know we're streamlining and putting a lot of things online, but just if everything is all in sync and trying to work together, we could probably be really more effective. That concludes my comment.
All right, thank you. Councilman Sebastian?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank my colleagues for their line of questionings, thoughts, concerns. First of all, let me say, Mr. Mayor, I appreciate you taking a look at this and trying to make it more efficient, fair, and balanced. I went through this in a lot of details, and if we go back to our discussion from last time, some of what is coming up now are what I was trying to kind of point us in the direction to, because I have some concerns, as I believe Councilwoman Rowell and Councilwoman Willis mentioned, some of the hot spots that we know around the city that we know need traffic calming. I'm concerned that we're putting some of these things back into the hand of residents to solve, rather than be proactive in trying to solve them. I know, for example, there were some studies that were supposed to be done on some major roads, Enon and I think West Stubbs and a couple of others. I asked about Cedar Grove. And so I'm concerned about the fact that people would have to go out and do petitions for some of these things, when in fact they're known dangerous areas throughout the city. I really have some concerns about this. The other thing is, Mr. Mayor, the whole issue of who can initiate the petition. The language as I see it, as I'm reading it, it looks as if people can initiate petitions for areas that they don't live. So I could take a look at, say, someplace in District 1 and get a group of people together and said, hey, we're going to put a speed bump up there in District 1 and try and get a petition together that's initiated by people outside. That's how the language reads. I don't know if that's what it was intended. I don't think so. And then throughout this process here, I personally have not heard enough from the subject matter experts on these changes, because it feels as if it's becoming very burdensome on staff to do a lot of these things and to go into a lot of details. Maybe they're already doing them already, but there got to be a reason besides the threshold why these things have not been moving for years. That why we're only now just putting on some speed bumps in the city. So if we're going to make these changes, I really hope that we are working closer with staff to make sure we're not adding more that they're incapable of doing, because now we're going to have many more people coming forward to doing these things, and the threshold is going to be lowered. So you're going to have even more in the queue that we may not be able to keep up with. So I really have some concerns around this.
All right, thank you.
Those are my comments. Thanks.
All right, thank you. And Councilwoman Pritchett.
Thank you for recognizing me. Mr. Mayor, I do think that this is great that you've addressed this because it is a big problem, a lot of the speeding. But you mentioned that you're surprised that people are still getting tickets for speeding when roads like Mallory Road, Highway 138, Paseta Road, Old National Highway, there are accidents all the time on these roads, every day. I have been run off the road myself. I actually stood at someone's house, one of the residents that called me to just observe the traffic, and it's really very dangerous, especially in areas where children cross the street to have to go to school and areas near schools. We have a lot of areas that actually should get stop signs even before considering getting speed bumps. And there is an area in my district, the Fife community, that somehow miraculously got speed bumps when other areas in the district that have way more dangerous incidents have not been successful in their attempts to get speed bumps. So I do think this is a great effort. I do like the fact that the community can bring input. I know that I receive lots and lots of calls from community members wanting speed bumps, but there is a lot of process that goes into that. And one thing in my conversations with Mr. Valenzuela, when I asked about the different things that slow down the process, or it looks slow from our perspective, is also being cognizant of a lot of the state roads that we're dealing with. I do have, I want to say 3 or 4 state highways, which I want to understand how this would impact those state highways. So I would like to ask if Mr. Valenzuela would come down, if that's okay, Madam City Manager, because I do want to hear from a subject matter expert with regards to how this would affect the work that Public Works would have to do with regard to trying to implement this as it's proposed.
Sure, come on down, Antonio. I think he's in the room.
As he comes, though, I will just say as a point of clarification, both this ordinance and the previous ordinance only govern the roads that we control as a city. So we don't have any jurisdiction over any federal or state roads. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council, City of South Fulton, City Manager, Antonio Valenzuela, Public Works Director for the city. Yes, ma'am. Could you refresh your question so I can answer better?
So I think Mr. Mayor just provided a little bit of clarity as to with this proposed ordinance, how it would affect the state roads. You know, there was a lot. It took a lot of time to get a traffic light at a very dangerous intersection, and we still have streets that are extremely dangerous, that people travel at extremely high speeds, where residents actually have fears that cars will wind up in their yards. I know I lived in a subdivision where on two different occasions, cars flipped over into the grass and actually crashed into the house. So how would, well, Mr. Mayor clarified that this would not impact a state highway in that manner, but how would this impact roads like Mallory Road that have excessive speeding?
So the actual traffic calming, what you have in front of you, it applies for local roads only. So state routes and we don't have any jurisdiction over state roads. So are mandated and controlled by Georgia DOT. So the current ordinance will not apply for state roads. However, it does for local roads, which are subdivision roads, and then you have minor arterials, which are corridors, which will have to be looked at case by case.
So basically, these are, I guess, like you just said, a case-by-case basis. So the, from what you're proposing, Mr. Mayor, the public contacts Public Works directly and works with them on a case-by-case basis. Okay, that's all my questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
I see a look of concern from our city manager. I'm going to reply to a few of these questions, but go ahead. You might have one as well.
Thank you. The only thing I didn't understand in the language is why it referred to the general fund, since the genesis of this is the traffic calming, and we've specifically identified a separate fund for it. But in your language, you speak to the general fund.
Thank you. Brilliant catch. I will make that change as well. It was really only written to ensure that no new tax or fee was levied for the collection, but I will make sure that it comes from the Pedestrian Safety Fund. Did you have questions, Councilman Reeves?
No. Mr. Mayor, I'm back in the queue.
Councilman Sebastian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was hoping to get back while Mr. Valenzuela was there, because I asked the question before about the process. The changes in the process appear to be to put a little bit more administrative burden back on his team. So, and with the new lowered threshold, and with us being able to keep up with what we had before, what is that going to do to his team and his staff and the ability to execute these? As well, I want us to, if we're not aware of this, that there's a move in the Georgia House right now. I think they attempted it last session, but it's definitely going to come back up this session, where they're trying to make it, the rules around those ticketing systems, those camera ticketing systems around schools are probably going to become sort of state law, including the fines and what you can do. So while we're doing this, and while we're currently generating a lot of revenue around this, potentially that revenue can be affected either way, because if it's being driven by certain counties, they're probably gonna not be as generous with some of the fines and some of the rules as probably we currently have. So that is something that we need to keep an eye on, because if we build this whole program around the revenue that we're getting from that source, potentially that revenue could be severely affected in the future. But my question stands about the burden onto the public works staff right now. If the changes are going to put obviously more work there, and if we're going to be able to keep up.
Councilor Sebastian, yes, I think the expectations are higher now, and lowering the percentage to qualify for a traffic study, it will increase. Then the cost will also increase, because a traffic study is about, these days, about 12 to 15,000, a traffic study, while we have staff dedicated to, as a traffic engineer at the city, but it will definitely increase the work for the studies, and then absolutely, if it qualifies for construction and installation of traffic calming devices.
Okay. Thank you. I think we just need to make sure we flush this out properly so that we're not creating more of a problem for ourselves, and That's what I would say. Again, I know we have to make these changes, but we just need to be careful.
All right. I'm going to just respond to a couple of things that I heard, and one was, I'm going to start with Councilwoman Pritchett. You asked specifically about Mallory Road. One of the reasons that I started on this road a couple of years ago as a councilman is because I wanted to get speed bumps on Creole Road. And Creole Road looks identical to Connell Road, which you may be familiar with in, well, I guess that's in District 5 now, but Connell Road, S.L. Lewis, and I was like, they have speed bumps. Why can't Creole Road have speed bumps? Well, Connell Road didn't connect two roads. It didn't used to go all the way to Bethsaida. It started at Flat Shoals, and so when the speed bumps were put in, it was what's called a local road. When it connected two roads, it became a collector road, and our current traffic calming policy did not allow for speed bumps on collector roads, which I think is kind of crazy because they work for S.L. Lewis. I think they could work for Love T. Nolan. So we added collector roads here, but it's still only the local roads that we control. The petitions, I do want to correct you, Councilman Sebastian. I think you were talking about Section 3D, where it talks about the collection of signatures can be done by anyone. But the initiators of the petition, which is defined in Section 4D, the initiators of the petition must be people that live on the street. But it goes to, I think, some of Councilwoman Gumbs and other people's concerns about capacity, that if if you're 84 and you see people speeding down your street, you can start the petition, but you can get members from your church, you can get your youth ministry to get out and knock on the doors and collect the signatures. The standard, the recommended traffic calming, well, let me say, this policy does not allow citizens to get a traffic calming measure that violates Federal Highway Administration standards. We changed that from NHTSA to FHWA in concordance with your recommendation, Mr. Antonio. So if a stop sign is recommended, but you want speed bumps are not, they're in violation of best practices by FHWA standards, which are federal standards, then you can't get those. But what we are finding is that some of these traffic calming policy decisions seem to be budgetary, right? That speed bumps could work, but stop signs are just cheaper, right? And so because we got to put things out all over the city, we're going to go with the more cost-effective option, which might not be the most desirable option. But if we want to require that residents pay for that, more desirable option, I'm still amenable to that. The process just allows for, there is a process in place for people to petition council to overrule the recommendation, just like we do for zoning, right? There are people come every week asking for variances to our zoning code to build, whatever it is that they're building. And we could just say, no, we're going to stick to the zoning code. So, but we offer variances sometimes. So I just was trying to create an option. But again, if we want to have the residents pay for that option, that's fine. There are a lot of questions about capacity, including traffic studies. I will say there is a new standard in this study, which is that if more than one person per year has died on the street, we'll do something. That doesn't require a $15,000 study. We just got to open the paper, talk to neighbors, and read police reports and see if multiple people have been dying on the street. We're going to do something. But I do think that we are definitely going to get more requests, and I think this data will be very helpful in quantifying This will be the first set of quantifiable data that we have about the need or the demand for how our tax dollars are being spent. So if we are seeing an increased demand and it is overwhelming our public works department, then that might be a signal to us as policymakers and approvers of the budget that we need to put more money in the budget for this because so many residents are requiring it. Lastly, I will say that Madam City Manager, you had the operations of the city, so whatever the recommended implementation time is, I am fine with that. I'd wait up to 6 months for this. However, I don't want 6 months to pass and we get there and because maybe there's been like turnover in staff or just whatever the case is, it got put on the back burner and we're still not ready. So, but if you say we'll be ready in 6 months, so then I'm willing to wait as long as possible for these changes. Thank you all so much. And with that, Mr. Clerk, you can sound the next item.
I think Councilmember Pritchett said she was in the
I'm
queue.
sorry. Councilwoman Pritchett?
So I have a question for you, Mr. Mayor. You talked about your interest in the speed bumps for Mallory Road because of what you were interested in. Why did that never happen, those speed bumps, in comparison to other areas that receive speed bumps quicker that actually don't have the critical issues that Mallory Road actually does continue to have?
So I'm not sure under the current policy if Mallory Road was, what is the word? If it was allowed to put speed bumps on Mallory Road, because collector roads were again not allowed under the previous policy. So this increases the number of types of streets that can get them.
That makes sense. Thank you.
All right, is there anyone else? All right, go ahead, Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Yes, the next item on the agenda is executive session, real estate, if necessary.
The chair will entertain a motion to go into executive session for real estate if necessary.
I move to go into executive session for real estate, personnel, cybersecurity, and legal.
Second.
Okay, I'm gonna ask. There's discussion. So just quick discussion. I would like for us to keep all of our. There are people that are waiting. We have some zoning things to vote on. So I only wanted to go into executive session for items that might affect what we have to vote on in this next meeting. And then if we could hold the other items until after the executive session, that would be great. Does that make sense to folks?
Why can't we just wait? It's nothing urgent to make us have to go into executive. There's nothing urgent in nature that will make us have to do executive session right now. We can just, it's 5 o'clock, we can just move on.
If there's nothing urgent, then we can move on. If there's, I guess what I'm asking is for people to look down this agenda, and if there is anything that they need to go into executive session for before we vote, then let's do that. All right.
Well, I'll remove I'm fine with pulling back my motion. I'm fine if you want to wait.
Okay, the motion has been rescinded.
Second.
The second has been rescinded. The rescinded has been seconded. Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
That brings us to the adjournment of the meeting.
Move to adjourn the work session.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. I will take a vote by a show of hands.
I record that is unanimous. We are adjourned at 5:02 p.m.
All right, I'm going to convene the regular meeting now. Mr. Clerk, if you sound the roll, please.
It's roll call for the 5 p.m. regular meeting of the City of South Fulton City Council. The Honorable Catherine F. Rao, District 1.
Present.
The Honorable Carmelita Gums, District 2.
Present.
The Honorable Helen Z. Willis, District 3.
Present.
The Honorable J.C. Sebastian, District 4.
Present.
The Honorable Corey A. Reeves, District 5.
Accountable.
The Honorable Natasha Williams Brown, District 6.
Present.
And the Honorable Linda B. Pritchett, District 7.
Here.
And the Honorable Mayor Khalid.
Present. Please sound the next item.
Mr. Mayor, we have the invocation that will be provided by Chaplain Nunley this afternoon. Chaplain Nunley, if you could come to the microphone here and lead us in the invocation.
Let's pray. Father God, we thank you for another day. Lord, we ask you to watch over everyone in the city of South Fulton as we conduct the city council meeting tonight. We ask you to watch over our city council members, the community, keep us together. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Please sound the next item.
We have the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, please sound the next item.
Mr. Mayor and members of council, that brings us to the approval of the city council meeting minutes. We have approval of city council regular meeting minutes from October 10th, 2023, work session meeting minutes from October 10th, 2023, and alcohol zoning public hearing minutes from October 10th, 2023.
So move for approval.
Second.
Oh, all right. No motion has been entertained, properly moved and seconded. I'll take a vote by show of hands.
Need at least one more? Okay.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I had some discussion.
The chair recognizes Councilman Sebastian.
Sorry, it's a bit difficult working remotely. Are we approving the, are we approving the agenda or just the past minutes?
Just to pass.
Just Roman numeral 5.
Okay, my apologies. I have a change to the agenda, I'm sorry. So yes, I vote to approve the past minutes.
All right, that'll be next. All right,
I did get 4 votes to approve those items.
perfect. All right, now sound the next item, sir.
So next item is adoption of the council agenda, and I believe Councilmember Sebastian is going to talk about the item.
The chair recognizes
he wishes to
Councilman
approve.
Sebastian.
Yeah.
Sorry. The
Thank
chair,
you, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Item 9, as I see it here, U23007, I want to remove it from the consent agenda and at the same time defer it to November meeting when appropriate.
There was an item that you wanted to remove from the consent agenda. Would you just say the number of that item for us again?
Yeah, actually, it's item number 9.
U23007, item 9.
That's not on, okay, that's,
Yeah, it's not
That's-
on the consent agenda, but
You want to remove it altogether.
it's under alcohol and.
so you would like to defer item number 9. Can we just have you make a motion for deferral when we reach number 9?
Okay, I thought, maybe I'm misreading the document, but I thought it was on the consent agenda, no?
No.
No, we do need to
Okay.
work on our Roman numeralizing, but we have a, Civics Plus is on the way, I am told, any day now.
Yeah, it's a little confusing, sorry. Yeah, so once we get to that, I'll do my motion.
All right, well, then the chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I do have 2 items that I sent you and the council, 2 items that were omitted from the agenda. There were 2 proclamations that Councilmember Reeves had requested last month that were not listed on the agenda. They were for Henry Borum Day and as well as Paul Bryant Day, and these are both associated with the program at Burdett. And I don't know if Councilmember Reeves wants to speak further to it.
The chair recognizes Councilman Reeves.
Yeah, these are items was, like you said, was presented to be for last month,
but we pushed it back to this month and inadvertently left off of the agenda. So we'd like to proceed forward with that because we do have them in the audience.
All right, it sounds like the recipients of the proclamation are here. If it is the council's pleasure, it sounds like there's a motion on the floor to amend the agenda to include 2 proclamations. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Let's take a vote by a show of hands. Yeah. All right.
Yes.
There's another amendment. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Councilwoman Combs.
Yes, looking at the consent agenda, the proclamations that were awarded to the residents for breast cancer are not on the list.
Yes, any proclamations that were presented after Wednesday of last week will be listed on the next agenda because we went to print on Tuesday.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any further amendments, additions, reductions, inclusions? All right. So we did vote to approve the agenda with that amendment. So I guess we would go to that next.
Yes, we have 2 proclamations for presentation. The first will be a proclamation presentation recognizing Henry Borum Day.
All right. To the constituents, the people here, that Henry Borum has a company, It's Electric, and he also has the It's Electric Training Center. And so what we did was partner with Parks and Recs to bring about an introductory to a trade for us through our Parks and Recreation. And this is our corporate sponsor here. And we just want to recognize him for all the achievements that he's done, because this is the first in the world that ever happened. And so we want to present you this proclamation. It's pretty lengthy, so a little bear with me as we read through this here. Whereas born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, Henry Borum joined the United States Marine Corps at 20 years old during Desert Storm, retired from the Marine Corps Reserve after serving 23 years in the military with tours including Japan, South Korea, Kuwait, and Afghanistan. And whereas upon honorable discharge from the military, Henry returned to metropolitan Atlanta to work 33 years in residential, commercial, robot controls, and industrial electrician. After growing his skill set working many years at Grady Health System Hospital, Henry retired and opened It's Electric Company, which focuses on commercial contracts. During the 2020 COVID pandemic, Henry worked at Grady Hospital, 3rd floor emergency room, around the clock, remodeling projects of high and low voltage wiring, employed hundreds of beginner journeymen, and whereas in 2003, upon becoming senior pastor of Bethsaida Christian Ministries, while simultaneously building a multi-million-dollar electrical company headquartered in Morrow, Georgia, Henry was inspired to give back generously to those in need, living by the motto, if you're not giving back, you're giving up. Fox 5 News ran a story about Henry giving $8,000 to residential employees out of his work due to the COVID pandemic. Henry regularly donates time and talents with electrical efforts to begin mentoring and training scores of young men and women. And whereas in 2020, with a strong desire to train the next generation in trades and to provide a good life for their family, Henry launched It's Electric Training Center, IETC, located in Forest Park, Georgia, to provide mobile training aids that can be bought on site, around the country to engage women and men participants with a lifelong skill set in electrical trades. In 2023, Henry partnered with the City of South Fulton Parks and Recreation Department and District 5 to offer the first and only trades workforce program in the United States and in the world. Classes offered include low voltage, conduit bending, and electrical basics. While teaching, Henry realized a need for other trade training and is now adding heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, HVAC, welding, and plumbing. And whereas in addition to the role in the community, Henry has been fortunate to be married to Sutsky Borum for 28 years. Thank you. And so, and they are the parents of twin sons in college, Trevor Borum, who is studying law at Southern University in Florida, and Tiger Borum, who is studying business management at Grambling University. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and city council of the city of South Fulton recognize Henry Borum for his countless awards and accolades throughout his career, and for his strong work ethic and heart to help the community, and do hereby proclaim Tuesday, October 24th, 2023, Henry Borum Day in the city of South Fulton, Georgia.
Thank you, First City of South Fulton, Mayor, council members, city manager. Thank you all for bringing this to the city. It was my heart's desire to just continue to train and give back. Very quickly, I have two young boys. They're 22 years old. And I'll tell you real quickly, one of my sons had no idea what he wanted to do except baseball. And then he came to work with me when they got out early in the 2020 pandemic. And then he said, Dad, if I wasn't going to play baseball, I'd come work with you. And it really struck me. I said, there's a lot of young men out there in the community that know a couple things. They know they don't want to go to college, but they know another thing. They have no clue what they want to do. And if we can just show them a trade, introduce them to it, some will see, you know what, I can make a difference for my family, and I can support myself. And so that's our goal, and I'm proud of the City of South Fulton has partnered with us so we can give young men and women this trade, and they can go out, be a support to their families, be a support to South Fulton. And so I thank all the council members for all you've done. I know it's making a great impact, and I hear the stories of the students, and so it's making a big impact in their life and their family. So thank you for all you're doing.
We're going to take a group picture. Can everybody come in, please? Everybody ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect, thank you.
Mr. Paul Bryant. And we appreciate this young gentleman here. And so as on a day he was coming down, he spoke at our very first graduation, and something happened to him that day, and he still made it through. And so as perseverance and, you know, your dedication to your craft and to the community, and for agreeing to do what you did, we appreciate you, and just want to honor you here with this proclamation. And so, whereas born in Omaha, Nebraska, to parents Doyle and Evelyn Bryant, Paul Bryant was first in his family to graduate from college, receiving a bachelor's degree in general studies, a master's degree in urban education, and a master's degree in urban studies from the University of Nebraska. From starting college on a football scholarship and recognizing education truly do change lives, Paul became an adjunct professor at the University of Nebraska, a guest lecturer at Omaha, Nebraska Community College, Crichton University, and Morehouse College. And whereas after serving as president and CEO of the Urban League of Omaha, Nebraska, Paul moved to Atlanta, Georgia in 2013 and authored the Pulitzer Prize nominated book, The Purpose of Living Leader in 2014. Additionally, Paul authored the 13th Journal and the Book of Interpersonal Economics, guided by the biblical mantra, "He who walks with wise men will be wise, and he who walks with fools shall perish." Paul has made his faith a major part of his life. This led to Paul becoming Mentor of the Year with the 100 Black Men of Atlanta. And whereas in 2017, Paul became the first vice president of external affairs at H.J. Russell and Company, the largest African-American owned company in the state of Georgia. In 2018, Paul launched the Russell Cares Foundation to be a philanthropic good citizen focusing on education, affordable housing, youth, and entrepreneurship, helping over 120 organizations in the metropolitan Atlanta area, including being the first funding supporter to help launch nonprofit Facts to Thrive entrepreneur and senior citizen technology training programs in the city of South Fulton. In addition, supporting the launch of It's Electric Training Center and the only workforce parks and recreation trade program in the United States and in the world, not only to the city, but brought throughout the United States. These actions embody the Russell motto, "We don't just build buildings, we build communities." And whereas in addition, in his role in the community, Paul has been blessed to be married to Robin Bryant for 33 years, and they are the parents of 3 awesome children, Brazier Lauren, Madison Renee, and Paul Edward II. Now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and City Council of the City of South Fulton recognize Paul Bryant for his countless awards and accolades throughout his career and for his strong work ethic and heart to help the community, and do hereby proclaim Tuesday, October 24th, 2023 as Paul Bryant Day in the City of South Fulton, Georgia.
Yeah, I just want to start by saying God is truly good. When I made that presentation, as the councilman was mentioning, I got up that morning and went to get my wife breakfast, and as I ordered the food from the counter, the next thing I knew, I was on the ground and I was surrounded by paramedics. I fainted. And I have a heart condition, I have type 2 diabetes, I'm one of those black men that's in that group that needs to be watched. And I'm thankful to say that this morning my wife and I walked 1.5 miles. It's been a great day, and I'm just honored to be here. One of the proudest moments in my life was when I was asked to be the commencement speaker to my mother's GED graduating class. I felt the same joy and sense of purpose looking at the graduates of this electronics class as they were getting a second chance to do something positive with their lives, and looking at the eyes of their families and the people supporting them. It just felt like something that was really, really good to do, and I just feel honored that you asked me to come out and speak. Absolutely. Thank you.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. Beautiful, thank you.
This is my day. I want everyone out there to have a great time, enjoy yourself, and live it to the fullest.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. Please sound the next item.
Brings us to Roman numeral 7 on the printed agenda, consent agenda.
The chair will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Clarification.
Well, we need a second first. before we have discussion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. The chair recognizes Councilwoman Willis.
Yes, just to be, because this is kind of written kind of funny, that's why it was confusing to Councilmember Sebastian. The consent agenda only has these 3 items today.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm done.
All right. Let's take this vote by a show of hands.
Record that as unanimous, 5-0.
All right. The chair, I'm sorry. Please sound the next item.
That brings us to Roman numeral 8. This is the alcohol license rezoning, variance, and modification cases for motion and vote. The first is a special use permit, case U23-014. It's an application by Wendy Smith Martin requesting a special use permit to operate a church at 0 Old National Highway. It's located in District 7.
All right. The chair will entertain a motion.
I move for approval of the license as read, the permit as read.
So moved. All right, it's been moved and seconded. Please, let's take this vote by show of hands.
I record that as...
What about Mr. Mayor?
Yep, Councilmember Sebastian wanted to be recognized.
How do you guys need me to record my vote? Because I've been voting, but I don't think they've been recorded.
Are you raising your hands?
In show of hands. I can raise my hands in the queue or in the chat, however you need me to do it, but
yes.
I just need to know how to do it.
By raising your hands. Go ahead, Mr. Clerk. Do you want to?
Yes, so with Councilmember Sebastian's vote, that was approved 6-0.
And the previous vote as well, Mr. Clerk?
I'm sorry to hear it.
I think it was a consent agenda, I believe, the previous vote as well. I don't think my vote was.
Oh, yes, I recorded you in the affirmative.
Yes, if you are raising your hand, Councilman Sebastian, we see that on the screen, and when we take the votes by show of hands, we are counting that raised hand as an affirmative vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound to the next item.
Brings us to item 8 under Roman numeral 8. Next case is U23-011. It's an application by Frederick Grisham requesting a special use permit to operate a salon at 3220 Butner Road, Southwest, Suite 140. It's located in District 2.
I'd like to make a motion for denial.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded. I'll take that vote by a show of hands.
I record that as 6-0 to deny. Approved.
All right, please sound the next item.
The next item was item 9. This is the item I believe Councilmember Sebastian wishes to defer. It's U23-007, application by ST Holdings, LLC, requesting a special use permit to operate a short-term rental at 7240 Hopgood Road, Fairburn, Georgia, 30213. It's located in District 4.
The chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to defer.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. I'll take that vote by show of hands.
I record that as unanimous to defer to the November meeting.
All right, please sound to the next item.
The next item is item 10. It's case U23-012. It's an application by Beverly Allen requesting a special use permit to operate a short-term rental at 4144 Butternut Place in District 3.
All right, the chair will entertain a motion.
I move to deny.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. I'll take that vote by a show of hands.
I record that as thank you. Councilman Sebastian votes in the affirmative to deny. It's unanimously denied.
All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
That brings us to the public comment for tonight's meeting. I'll read the rules into the record for the public. City of South Fulton believes that any resident or business owner located in the city limits should be afforded the opportunity to address the mayor and city council, provided that the designated rules are followed by the speaker. Any City of South Fulton resident or business owner who wishes to address the mayor and city council and offer public comment on any item on the agenda may do so during the public comment period. Comments should be limited to 2 minutes per speaker. A bell will signal the end of each speaker's time. Public comment should be limited to only those items appearing on the current city council meeting agenda. Each speaker must complete and submit a request to speak form in its entirety prior to the beginning of the meeting. The person or City of South Fulton business owner desiring to speak should rise, address the city council, and when recognized, state their name, residential or business address, the agenda item that they are addressing, and the city council district in which they reside. All remarks shall be addressed to the council as a whole and not to any one member. Speakers may not disrupt the city council meeting by speaking for too long, by being unduly repetitious, or by extending discussion of irrelevancies. Speakers may not employ obscenities or threats of violence in their comments. Anyone who demonstrates these behaviors should have their microphone disabled. Speakers shall not be allowed to make remarks that have been legally recognized to not be protected speech, comments, while addressing the council. And speakers may not use public comments to campaign for political office, either for themselves or on behalf of other candidates for the purpose of limiting political influence on city employees and encouraging orderly and efficient meetings. With those rules read into the record, we have actually several zoning people filled out cards that wanted to speak regarding zoning, so I don't know if they still wish to do so. Drew Demand submitted a written comment, which was previously provided to Mayor and Council. We also received a number of emails regarding the butternut, 4144 butternut, which was just denied. The other cards I have are Joe Tolbert, General Fluellen, Erica Thompson, Frederick Gresham. Do y'all still wish to speak? Okay. Please approach one of the mics. You'll have 2 minutes, and please state your name, address, and the item on the agenda which you will be speaking about. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
I'm sorry, one moment.
Yes, sir.
Before they begin, I know we're having these civics recs issues, but because people may have comments that they want to make about items that are being voted on, let's just make sure in the future that we have their public comments before we hear the zoning cases. Sorry about that, ma'am. Please go.
No worries. Good afternoon. I wanted to express our thanks from Greater Victory Christian Center for your belief in us to do the hard work of our community now. So we are here to say thank you. I am Erica Thompson, a member of not only District 4, but also a member of the Greater Victory Christian Center, and we will be intentional in our work on Old National and the surrounding areas. And I just wanted to say thank you for believing in us.
Good afternoon, everyone, council and mayor. My name is Frederick Gresham, and I was number 8, U23-011. I'm coming before you all because I signed this lease agreement for this facility. It's a 7-year lease that I signed with the implication that this was going to allow me the opportunity to, 1, serve the city of South Fulton, 2, live out my dream and me of being an entrepreneur in my community and moving forward with the works they're put forth. I've been dealing with this since February, and we had 3 different sets of people to talk to me in regards to this issue. I didn't even know about the meeting today because the person that I was dealing with, Ms. Howard, is no longer there, so I had to go to the actual city of South Fulton to get the information to get this done. I reside in District 2. Again, I live in 3300 Renaissance Circle, South Fulton, Georgia, 30349. I'm just asking for an opportunity to have a business in the community in which I live, serve within the community in which I live, afford the opportunity for others to provide them with jobs in the community in which they live, and enhance the city of South Fulton and bring dollars into the community. My walk hasn't changed, my purpose hasn't changed. I'm just asking for an opportunity. It was already a salon suite, and it is in the mixed use area where I was asking for, where St. James Live is there. You have Bella there, you have hair salons there, you have barbershops there. And the only thing I have is actually a salon suite, which would afford the opportunity for the actual clients to serve on a one-on-one basis with his or her stylist, beautician, esthetician, et cetera. I haven't made any changes, any provisions, only upgraded the area, and that's all I've done. And I was just asking, I guess, to revisit or reevaluate this moving forward, please.
Thank you, sir.
That completes the comment cards that I received.
All right, please sound the next item.
Next item is council comments.
Mayor, would you like me to start?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. Let's start with District 1, Dr. Rao. Yes.
I want to thank Blake Doss and the Greystone Power Team for addressing the tree overgrowth in areas that have experienced electrical outages. We heard from residents, not just in District 1, but across the city, and they've been responding accordingly. So you've probably seen those utility trucks out trimming the tree line, and so I want to thank you for their responsiveness. In addition, I want to encourage residents to participate on October 30th in our virtual town hall on Adopt a Road that me and Councilwoman Gumbs are hosting from 6 to 7:30 p.m. We're looking for community-based organizations, sororities, fraternities, churches to help keep our city clean. And that basically entails doing at least one cleanup per quarter. So it's a minimal commitment, but I think it's an important part of our entire community getting engaged in the beautification of our city. So I just want to encourage you to participate and learn more about the Adopt a Road program. Thank you.
District 2, Councilwoman Gumbs.
Thank you for that. Today is, this month is Domestic Violence Month and also Public Safety. As you can see, my colleagues have on purple, so we are in support of making sure that people understand and is aware of domestic violence. On Friday, October the 13th, District 2, in partnership with Councilwoman Willis, held its monthly Senior Health Day at Welcome All Park. We had amazing food, enjoyed good music, and had a little exercise, which was absolutely fun with the seniors. And it promotes good cardiovascular health and aging in place in the city of South Fulton. We'll look forward to continuing to doing these type of activities throughout the city. But I do want to thank Councilwoman Willis for partnering with me on that. And also on Thursday, October the 19th, we gathered at Wolf Creek Library to honor the survivors that were impacted or have been impacted by breast cancer. They are actually residents in the city of South Fulton. And we have actually partnered with the police department and Parks and Rec, and those are our inaugural Pink Warriors. So what we have done, we've given them proclamations as well. So this particular event will continue to grow. We offered free COVID vaccinations. We had the breast mammogram bus out as well. So we will continue to do these type of things, highlighting breast cancer, not just for women, but also men that are impacted in our community. Also, too, I won't take Councilwoman Pritchett's thunder, but I had a good time on Sunday at the Wolf Creek Amphitheater for the Hispanic Heritage Month. It was a great time. It was almost like we were reminiscing growing up in the city of New York and things of that nature. So I won't steal the thunder, but thank you all to my colleagues that came out to support that as well. On October the 28th, which is very important, please remember that we will have a free bulk and recycling day at Merck Transfer Center. We want to make sure that you all participate in that. I've been getting phone calls asking when is the next available day. We also will have recycling and shredding on that day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Merck Miles on October the 28th. So please make sure you participate. If you all are trying to get the bulk items out, this is one last free attempt to do that as well. And then lastly, on October the 30th, we will, as Councilwoman Rao, partner with her on the Adopt a Road program. We want to make sure that we have a, I guess, clean city, a clean green city, and then also to advocate for clean streets. And we are continuing to encourage residents to fight the battle on litter and make sure that you are updating See-Click-Fix with that information. We will continue to promote public health in our office, as well as cardiovascular, mental health, as well as access to quality health care. As you all know, I'm in healthcare. But if you need more information, please feel free to follow me on Facebook, or you can go to our website at councilwomancarmelithagums.com. I look forward to the next few weeks, and that's it. Oh, well, I did. I told him about Merck Miles. Thank you.
All right, District 3, Councilwoman Willis.
Thank you. Thank you to all of the District 3 seniors and all other seniors that don't live in District 3 for participating in the senior event that happened at Walkmore Park last week. We had great attendance. I also want to let everybody know that, for years, one of my mantras has been educating people about human sex trafficking. So we will be having a community ambassador training in partnership with Delta Sigma Theta Alumni Chapter and also Youth Sparks at Siloam Church in District 3 on November 9th. And we will be publishing the flyer today. The training will be November 9th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. at Siloam Church. And it's an opportunity for you to learn about human sex trafficking, learn how to report suspicious activity, how to provide services in emergency planning, and serve as a liaison. So please come out, because that is a pandemic that has been plaguing our nation for a while, and we want to make sure everyone is trained and educated on how to deal with it if encountered. Trunk or treat will be this Saturday from 1 to 5 at Walkmore Park, October 28th. So bring your kids. We will have lots of candy and festivity, and but we're not responsible for any dentist bills. But it is a safe environment for you to bring your kids to trunk and treat and meet staff here in the city of South Fulton and other elected officials. Also, on October 26th, I want to remind everyone to come to Walkmore Park from 6 to 8 for the Power of Compliance. This is an initiative where you will have public safety, code enforcement there to educate you on how to stay in compliance. So please come out so you can get educated about code enforcement violations, and also there are going to be public safety there to talk about how to register your alarms and how to register your cameras. Thank you. That will be this Thursday, October 26th from 6 to 8. If you're not getting my newsletters, please text District 3 at 42828 and or email me at helen.willis@cityofsouthfultonga.gov, helen.willis@cityofsouthfultonga.gov. Also check me out on social media. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, and I share nothing but positive information that our city is doing. Thank you.
District 4, Councilman Sebastian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to thank everyone who came out last Saturday, including my colleagues on council, to support the reopening of the Cedar Grove Police Precinct. I want to thank our police chief and his staff and Captain Cotton Tooks and the men and women that worked with her in putting on that event. I want to thank the community members and the business community from the area for really coming out and supporting that event. I know they have been waiting to get that precinct relaunch over there, especially one where the community can have access to it. We all know that was previously being used as our recruiting station for the police department, but now it's going to be a precinct that actually is open to serve the community. Thank all the staff members, the people from Public Works and External Affairs that showed up early and made a great event out of that. I also want to thank those who are right now putting in the work and the effort. I did get a call today. Folks are getting pretty excited about our Veterans event coming up on the 4th, Saturday the 4th at 10 a.m. starting at the LA Fitness Plaza with the going to have the parade and then end with the ceremony and the chili cook-off at Burdett Field. So I'm encouraging everyone to come out. This is year one of this parade, and it's gathering up to be something huge. And I want to thank Adam City Manager for sort of getting everyone aligned and getting everyone on the same page that we can execute this event on behalf of the city. So again, thank you all for everything that y'all are doing. Glad Councilmember Gums for the bulk event that you're having coming up on the 28th. I'm trying to push people to Merck Myers because we continue to have a lot of questions, and I won't talk much more about Merck Myers because that's coming up. Oh, that was 2 weeks ago. I just want to thank Ms. Huberdan and her staff for the work that they've been continuing to do and to help us, get some of these things out of the way. Thanks a lot.
The chair, District 5, Councilman Reeves, sorry.
All right, thank you to Councilman Sebastian for leading the efforts of the Veterans Day Parade. And so we will ask all schools and anybody who want to participate to contact us immediately if you want to make a float, design, and do whatever you can. This is the inaugural Veterans Day Parade. And so it will end with a chili cook-off, and anybody who feels the need or feels that they have the best chili in the world, please enter into the cook-off contest, and there will be prizes for that as well. Contact the city for more information. And also, too, as this Saturday, the Blue Pumpkin Harvest Fest with the South Fulton Women's Democratic Organization will be held, too, at Burdett Park right after the Biking for Clean Air with constituent Jane Williams, Representative Kim Schofield, and Representative Mandisha Thomas and myself. As come out on bike ride, we'll be starting from Burdett Park down to the Economic Development Office and then back. Also, too, join us for World Vegan Day, which is November the 1st, with the political farmer at South Fulton Ace Hardware. That will be taking place from 5 to 7. And also what will be taking place as well is a screening. If you have allergens, if you want to know what you're allergic to, please come out. The test takes more like 3 minutes. And so come on and join us. Also, to take my 2024 legislative survey at my website, district5mewe.org. That's district5mewe.org. And furthermore, I'm going to say this, and so it's a, kind of metaphor. If you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And so those who ask why things happen, just look at the life of one that they lived, and you will see some things are universal correction. And it's not the city's fault or anybody else's fault, but one's life that they see, that they have lived, comes back to them. So do good. Amen.
You still love us and there's nothing we can do about it?
That part. I do love you. Can't do nothing about it. Sometimes it's hard to love you, though.
All right, thank you. District 6, Mayor Pro Tem Williams Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no comments.
District 7, Councilwoman Pritchett.
Thank you. First, I want to express condolences again to my constituent, community leader, senior advocate, Marcia Steele, who's a daddy's girl. The condolences on the passing of her father, the Honorable Albert L. Lewis, who was a veteran that served in the Army. He was a Mason, a decorated past master of Golden Square Lodge number 23. He retired from General Motors, was a volunteer, just a great man. And so I want to, although we presented her with a proclamation, I do want to acknowledge that we have declared October 14th to be Albert L. Lewis Day in the city of South Fulton. I also want to thank everyone who participated in our on our Veterans Appreciation Brunch that Councilwoman Rao and Senator Sonia Halpern helped to co-sponsor. We were able to honor the veterans that served in our city and also veterans that are leaders in our city with awards and with certificates. It was a wonderful time of fellowship. We've also given out a proclamation to veterans, helping veterans, and it was just a great time where veterans expressed their desire to come together and help each other and just have a lot of great fellowship, and it was a great event. And I also want to thank Councilwoman Gums for co-hosting the first annual Azúcar Music Festival. It was such a rich time of culture, of fun. We had people coming from all over different parts of Georgia that did not know that we had the most fantastic and fabulous amphitheater in this region, Wolf Creek Amphitheater. We had our showstopper that was Tito Puente Jr., and he was very touched and honored by what our staff put together, different pictures of my aunt, the late great Celia Cruz, and his father, Tito Puente. And he wanted to make sure that we express to our parents to make sure that we teach our children about the Afro-American music and Afro-American culture. And I also want to thank the city manager for adding that item into our budget. It was very important to me that we are able to celebrate the history and the heritage of Hispanic and Latino persons, and I really appreciate that sincerely, that you made this happen. It was spectacular. And I want to also thank Salandia Aveni, who helped to organize this event and make it a spectacular success. So thank you so much.
All right. I'm going to start first with just a simple prayer for the children of Palestine and the children of Israel. I've been watching this conflict, and if you will, we don't have this other slide. This looks like an older version. But at our Courageous Conversations Live, and first I want to apologize for those of you all who attended or who watched live. We were unpardonably errant in our start time. We had a lot of technical difficulties to work out, but one of my favorite conversations was with a young man, Ashriel Moore, who is one of the 500,000 Israelis of African descent who is still living in Israel now, and he joined us via Zoom. We got to see his neighborhood in Tel Aviv, and it reminded me in the most horrific way that when leaders don't get along, it's the children who suffer. So I want to pray for those children. Next, I want to pray for the family of, and this is Mr. Ashriel Moore, so we do have the updated version, I'm sorry. This is his neighborhood in Tel Aviv. We're going to make this entire interview available on a YouTube page. We can go to the next one. I want to have a special moment of silence for Miss Destiny Perry and her son Kari, who were killed on Creel Road in District 6. Thank you. And so I cannot imagine what it's like to bury a child. So my hearts go out to Miss Destiny Perry. And then finally, the last loss that I would like to talk about is Miss Noni Batiste Kasoko. She was a graduate of Langston Hughes High School. On July 11th, she was found alone, face down and unresponsive in her cell at the Atlanta Detention Center, which is managed by the Fulton County Jail. She is a diagnosed schizophrenic. She was in jail because she missed a court date for trespassing. And she died in jail 6 days before her 19th birthday and before her case was heard. Next, we do have some good news to talk about, and we have this American Rescue Plan Small Business Advancement Administration Grant Program, which was just released this week. The deadline to apply, as you see, is 11/17. You can find the information about this at cityofsouthfultonga.gov. Up to $20,000 is available if you have a business license in the city of South Fulton and meet a few other criteria, less than 30 employees, and can demonstrate a financial impact from COVID-19. You can go to the next slide. Also, this week, tomorrow and Friday, we have digital literacy classes which focus on our seniors. It helps you to recognize things like scams, phishing scams, and other current computer and internet scams. I don't know if you all have been watching the news, but some of us who pay by, we find ourselves fancy and we pay for things with our QR codes. There is a new scam out for that as well. So they're going to cover all of that, as well as just helping us all learn how to use our computers a little better. And then lastly, this month, this Saturday, you can join. It's 4 Saturdays. We have our annual dog party at Canine Crossing Park at Camp Drive in District 3 off of Roosevelt Highway, right around the corner from the South Fulton Annex and the Tennis Center. You can meet the first dog, Zion, whom you can also follow on TikTok or Instagram at COSF First Dog. And this month, there's a theme every month. This month is our Halloween costume contest. The winner will get some great prizes by our partner, Four Colors Mestino. And finally, you can find this and other information, you can go ahead, by texting the word Fulton to 33777. Thank you all so much. South Fulton forever. All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, that brings us to Roman numeral 11, agenda items. Item 11, under public safety, request approval of a sublease agreement to the Fourth Amendment of the Master Lease Agreement for facilities for an amount not to exceed $660,000, and that's for the municipal court.
The chair will entertain a motion.
I move that we approve, request approval for sublease agreement to Fourth Amendment, a master lease agreement for facilities for an amount not to exceed $600,000 for municipal court.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All right, the chair recognizes Dr. Rao.
Thank you. I know the city has acquired land to build our municipal court, and for this fiscal year, we've set aside money to begin that process. Do you anticipate or have any general timeline where we might begin construction of that facility? I know it won't probably be done in this year's time, but maybe. Do you have any projections on that?
The Old National site will house both police headquarters and municipal court. We are prioritizing the design on police headquarters in a phased approach. And the thinking is that municipal court will follow. Our goals right now are to finish up our financial reporting so that we can apply for debt. Complete our programming, and thank you for those of you who have been participating in all of the programming for all of the facilities. And we hope to use a design build mechanism. So, but the long story short is this lease is for a 5-year period. Fulton County ideally would have wanted the full 10 years, which is what they have left on this facility. They were agreeable to 5 years, which I think will give us plenty of time to completely scope both projects, the headquarters and municipal court, identify the funding to pay for it, build it, and move into it.
Great, and based on that time, which I anticipate those buildings will be up within that time, if we needed to move another department in that space, we could do that?
We could do that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, the chair recognizes District 3 Councilwoman Willis, and everyone, if you'll just please remember to switch over to, we're now in the regular meeting. That might be why you're having a difficulty getting in the queue. Go ahead, Councilwoman Willis.
Based off of what I've seen and how slow I've seen and the supply and demand and the labor shortages that are still occurring, I believe we're going to need every bit of the 5 years. I don't see us moving, getting this done within 3 years, not building a headquarters and a court. And I really do think we need to move forward with getting our staff out of our parks and recreation into a secure facility. So I support this measure. Thank you.
All right, seeing and hearing no other comments, I will take this vote by a show of hands.
Councilmember, thank you. I record that as approved unanimously.
All right, please sound the next item.
Next item is item 12, request approval of a resolution urging the South Fulton Police Department and other law enforcement agencies with jurisdictions within the city to expand the use of diversion services, encouraging Fulton County and the Fulton County Sheriff to take similar measures in addressing overcrowding and safety concerns at the Fulton County Jail, and exploring funding opportunities to support diversion services. This is known as Noni's Law, sponsored by Mayor Khalid.
All right, thank you. This resolution is in response to the number of deaths that there have been 10 deaths at the Fulton County Jail, or a facility managed by Fulton County Jail this year, and at least one of them has been a child of South Fulton, Ms. Baptiste Sissoko. This resolution does order the police department not to transport people there. I do believe that this is a life and death situation. However, if council is not ready to take that extreme of a step, we could still pass the resolution with a request to not transfer people there, and just put on record an expression of our concern about the lives that are being lost in that facility. And with that, I will entertain a motion, I will recognize District 7 Councilwoman Pritchett.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for recognizing me. I have a few things that I'd like to say about this. I understand your concern for people that go to Fulton County Jail. I share in the concerns that people are held in detention in a safe place. However, with regard to Ms. Noni, not throwing anything on her, but I do want to remind everyone that I recently lost a friend, a volunteer years ago, and this young man was murdered by his schizophrenic childhood friend. Now, I hold a degree in criminal justice. I've been involved with persons in law enforcement closely, And I'll also tell another story real quick. Years ago, back in 2008, my house was broken into and my flat screen was stolen. And the kids on my block said that so-and-so stole your flat screen. So I approached that young man's mother and let her know there's really nothing she could do about it other than, you know, just try to address it internally. He wound up going to jail. Then, for whatever reason, then about a year later, he comes ringing my doorbell saying, hey, can I cut your grass? At that point, I wasn't as mad as I initially was, and I felt like it was a teachable moment. So I let the young man cut my grass. And he went to jail. Then he came back. And he said, Miss Linda, I need some community service hours. Will you help me? And I let him work on my campaign with me closely. He knocked on doors, put signs out, did grunt work in the hot sun. He went to jail again. And then his mother murdered his father. But he was in jail, so he couldn't go to his father's funeral. So when he got out of jail for that last period of time, years later, he found me and he told me, hey, when I was in jail, I told people about the experience I had with you, you know, that you gave me a chance, that you gave me hours, that you helped me. They couldn't believe, you know, the things that I really did with a real candidate, someone that would wind up getting elected. So I'm saying this all to tell you that I have strong compassion for people that commit crimes. For over 10 years, I worked for a criminal defense attorney. The first case I ever worked on was the Brian Nichols case. So I'm speaking to you as someone who is actually a mentor mother with Next Level Boys Academy. That's a pretrial diversion program. But what I will not sit here and do as a city council person elected by the people to do the business of the city is entertain any measure that would shame another government agency, that would impose my will or my personal opinions, even my legal professional opinion on our police department. We are not judge, jury, and executioner. The officers on the street already have a tough enough job enforcing the laws of the city and of the state of Georgia. We cannot put them in a position for them to decide if people should go to diversion, because that is not their jurisdiction and that exceeds their legal authority. That is a judicial matter, and it exceeds our authority as a city to direct our police department. And I don't want to be out of order asking Madam City Manager that if Chief Meadows is here, that if anyone has any other comment, does not have any other comment, if he would give his opinion, not opinion, but if he would speak to this matter, if that is not inappropriate. And I yield.
The chair recognizes Councilwoman Willis.
Mayor, I commend you for wanting to recognize Noni, but I think we should find another way to commemorate her, and I will support you. I mean, I know we are doing a lot of murals throughout the city of South Fulton. I think that maybe we should consider, you know, first consult with the family, her mother, because she was her mother's only child, and find some way to commemorate her memory and legacy, maybe through a mural. And I will support you in that. But to do it in this manner, I don't support this for several reasons. And if you want to advocate for better conditions in the jail, I can talk with you offline on how you can do that as well. You know, but not in this way. I think I think she deserves a better commemoration of her life, and I think maybe doing it in an art form, which is a universal language, might be a great idea. So I will support you if you want to do something like that.
All right, thank you. The chair recognizes District 2 Councilwoman Gomes.
Okay. I guess my first question, I think, and I can't remember, was did we actually run this legislation through our department for the city? No? Yes. I can't remember.
Yes.
Okay. Like Councilwoman Willis shared, I do commend you on your efforts of trying to get something like this done. It does come across as a little bit divisive, but I did take some notes, and I just wanted to share a few of them. As I understand that the U.S. Department has launched a civil rights investigation into the county jail over the summer. Additionally, the USAO has not determined whether systematic violations of federal laws exist in Fulton County Jail. So as council members, we must remain mindful of making policy decisions based on facts and not presumable allegations. And I think that's part of where we are right now, is nothing has been fact-based. Also, to emphasizing the challenges faced in the county jail, especially with the concerns of mental health, which is why I do kind of support the Atlanta mayor and the council for allowing Fulton County Superior Court to actually intervene at this point in time. But the diversion center will serve as a building where law enforcement and first responders can transport individuals who need help. And as we shared before, there are a lot of mental health issues and concerns within our own community, and I don't know necessarily if this legislation is even helping to amplify the need for that attention. And additionally, I pulled up that U.S. Senator Ossoff awarded Fulton County $1.6 million in partnership with the Atlanta Police Alternative and Diversion Initiative to launch this program, so maybe that will also benefit what you're trying to do. So again, I commend you for bringing this to the council. However, in addition to the resolution, it did have some grammatical errors. I did see that in one of, that's why I asked, did it go through our system? I just can't support it in its current state, and that's how Councilwoman Willis has shared. Maybe there's a different way that we can go about honoring NONI as well for this particular law. And as I've shared many times before, mental health and substance abuse is very important for us to address those severe concerns in our community. We need to do some comprehensive evaluations, and we cannot have criminals released back into the community where we continue to condone criminal behavior. So, again, that's pretty much. I have a whole lot of notes, but I don't want to belabor this at this point in time. I just don't think it's ready for consumption.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor.
Chair
Do we have a
recognizes-
motion on the floor?
There isn't a motion yet, no. Did you want to make a comment, or did you want to make a motion?
Well, yeah, but I thought we were going to make the motion and then do the comments. I think what I've seen myself, it's kind of has all been mentioned before, so I won't add to it. I just wanted to know why we were doing this set of comments without having a motion on the floor, that's all.
All right, well, now I will entertain a motion. It's fine. If there's no motion, it will just fail for a lack of a motion. We'll go to the next item. All right, so seeing and hearing no motions, this will fail for a lack of a motion. Mr. Clerk, please sound the next item.
Brings us to item 13, procurement and contracts. First one is request approval to award the contract for request for proposal, RFP number 23-51, management of the Merck Miles Citizens Convenience Center for the city of South Fulton. The awardee is Latham Home Sanitation, a base pay to the vendor of $35,000 per month. Public Works.
I'd like to make a motion.
The chair will entertain a motion.
I'm sorry. I would like to make a motion for approval.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
The chair recognizes District 1, Councilwoman.
This question is for the city manager. I know I saw a couple things with this. I know that we have kept the rate at the amount it was prior to the closure of Merck Miles at $10 for residents, but I know it's a decreased amount that they can discard. Can you speak to that? Is that something in line with what you typically see, that it's closer towards the amount you propose? And second, what improvements will be made to the facility?
The answer to the first question is we structure the rates more consistently with what is average. The non-resident rate or the commercial rate was significantly higher than everywhere else, and I think it was done as a deterrent. That was a challenge for our prior operator when that change was made. The idea here is that the commercial non-residents would, their revenue would actually subsidize what our residents, the total cost to the city for our residents. And that's why we're able to keep it at $10 at 150 pounds. In terms of your second question, I think we have done the maintenance that was necessary on the equipment at the facility. New signage has been ordered, which is well overdue for the facility. And were those your two questions?
What changes will be made at the convenience center when it's coming back online? I know we had talked about paving some other things, so I just wanted to find out where things stood with that.
I don't think we're going to be able to do major renovations, you know, because there is a desire to get it open pretty quickly, but there are some overall changes that we're planning to make during the off-season at Wolf Creek, which will be consistent with what we will do there, especially as it relates to paving.
All right, the chair recognizes District 7, Councilwoman Pritchett. Are you out the queue? Okay, go ahead.
This question is for Madam City Manager. So, and I apologize if I overlooked something. So with this service, will this also include recyclables where people can come and recycle for free?
Recyclables and yard waste are included.
And is shredding?
And say again?
Shredding? Paper shredding?
Paper shredding.
I don't recall shredding being part of the bid. I can get back to you on that. Recycled paper, cardboard, computers, automotive fluids, cooking oil, aluminum, plastics, and glass. No shredding.
Okay, thank you.
That's it? All right, the chair recognizes District 2, Councilwoman Gomes.
Is it an opportunity to add shredding at this point in time?
No, ma'am.
Okay. One of the things, too, that I wanted to find out, I think in your memo you stated that once the contract is approved, it's anticipated that this will open within 10 days?
That's the plan.
Okay. Also, too, is there a mechanism or have we set up to where we'll review this, or you will review this contract yearly, or how will we hold them accountable so we're not in the same position we were a few months ago?
Sure. So part of this contract will be data collection. It'll be making sure that we are able to hold them accountable. It'll be point of sale data that we'll be able to receive. And then we will do quality reviews with them to make sure, and periodic checks to make sure that they are following through with both their hours and consistent with what's outlined in the contract.
And what's the termination clause? I don't think I got to the bottom of it.
The termination clause?
Yeah, so is there a way, if the city just at one point say that we're not going to do this anymore, is there a termination clause with?
Well, every contract can be terminated by the will of the council at the renewal. So I think it's a 5-year with, consecutive annual renewals.
Okay.
So at the annual renewal, the council always has the opportunity, or we have the opportunity to recommend that we don't renew.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. And And I'm sorry if I missed this, but in all of these questions and presentations, do we have a date when Merck Miles is going to reopen, or an estimated?
10 days after approval? 10 days after approval,
10 days, so within 10 days of tonight?
potentially.
Okay. All right. The chair recognizes Councilwoman Willis.
Maybe I missed this. Is the price, what has been put out in like a lot of the stuff that's being put on Nextdoor is to purposely misinform our residents? Is that our residents are going to pay 6 times the cost they previously paid to take things to Merck Miles. Is that true?
No, it's the $10 per 150 pounds is still, we kept that consistent. Perhaps residents are talking about what they're paying to other facilities at this time, but for residents, we tried to make sure we kept it consistent. Even though the cost of everything has gone up, we're trying to keep this because we know it's a service that our community really needs.
So it's $10 per pound?
No, $10 for 150 pounds.
Okay, $10 per 150 pounds.
Correct.
And that's what it was always, that's what it has always been.
That's what it was before.
Okay. Is there any way that we could get communication to put something out regarding that? Because again, there was misinformation shared on Nextdoor, and I don't want our residents misinformed.
That's why I stay off of Nextdoor.
Huh?
That's why I stay off of Nextdoor. But absolutely, once you approve, we will move forward with finalizing the contract. Of course, they have to provide insurance, all of the contractual mechanisms. And in tandem with that, we'll do a good public outreach education piece to let people know that it's open and what the expectations are, and work with the vendor to make sure his point of sale is set up and everything.
Okay, so the facility will be open probably in approximately 10 days.
After approval.
Okay, thank you. That's great.
I concur about Nextdoor. Actually, I would like to be on. I miss it. Seeing and hearing no further questions or comments, I will entertain a vote by a show of hands.
Councilman Sebastian, did you want to register a vote? I record that as approved, 6-0.
All right, please sound to the next item.
7-0. Thank you.
Unanimous.
Next item is item 14, request approval to renew the professional services agreement with Lowe Engineers, LLC, in the amount of $959,404 per Section 101D of the agreement. The city is exercising its first renewal by extending the term to September 30th, 2024. There are 2 one-year renewals remaining. Public Works.
I move to renew the professional service agreement with the Lowe Engineering in an amount of $959,404.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Any questions? Seeing and hearing none, I will entertain a vote by a show of hands.
I record that approved 7-0 unanimously.
All right, Mr. Clerk, please sound to the next item.
Next item is item 15, request approval to enter into an agreement with AllScan to purchase, design, install, and implement physical security services related to cameras, card access, and intrusion detection at city locations and other services within the city. This is funded by the Information Technology ARPA Fund allocation and police fund allocations for an amount not to exceed $800,000. This is phase 1, Information Technology.
I move to request approval to enter agreement with AllScan to purchase, design, install, and implement our physical security service related to cameras, card access, and intrusion detection at our city locations and other services within the city, not to exceed $800,000.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Discussion. The chair recognizes Councilwoman Gomes.
Does this include cameras for illegal dumping in the parks?
We have received our illegal dumping cameras, and we are getting ready to have them installed. We're working with the installer at locations that will not be disclosed.
Yes.
But we've actually physically received them, and like I said, that part is now being worked out, you know, how to get power and where to mount them and that. This bid does include the parks.
Oh, wonderful.
Whew, that's exciting. All right, that's it.
All right. The chair recognizes, the chair recognizes District 4 Councilman Sebastian.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question has been answered. It was about the parks, and I think I got the answer. That it include the parks, and this is phase 1. So I'm assuming the other parks would come online later on.
All right, and I'm sorry, because the sound was a bit muffled. Was that just a comment? Was there a question?
Well, the question I had before was if it included all of the parks, because in the details of this, it was, I think it was a Welcome All and some of the park that was included. So my question was going to be, when will we have the other parks implemented? I heard mentioned that this was phase 1. So do we have any insight as to when this one will be completed and when phase 2 might kick on the way?
Well, our plan is to have them follow one behind each other over all phases, and we will make sure that we are equitable in getting them done. In other words, we won't put everything in one phase in one district. We'll make sure that we're getting equitable coverage of cameras in each phase.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, the chair recognizes District 5 Councilman Reeves.
Yeah, one question, Madam Superintendent. On the fixtures on our city hall or any buildings that are not permanent for us, so will they be movable when our buildings do become permanent? The infrastructure of the...
Yeah, to the extent that it is practical, you know, technology changes, and so, you know, at that time, we'll make an evaluation. More than likely, we'll have integrated security systems in our new buildings, which will be, you know, tailored to the new buildings. It's hard to imagine that these will be appropriate to move at that time.
Good deal. Thank you.
All right. I just have one comment about this. It was erroneously reported, perhaps on Nextdoor, perhaps other places, that there was legislation like this sitting on my desk for 30 days, which actually is statutorily impossible. I am required to sign things within a certain amount of period of time, or they pass into law without my signature, or the city manager can sign them. So I am in support of this. I want folks to know that there's nothing on tonight's agenda that I intend to veto, and if I am on travel next week and I'm not reachable, you, Madam City Manager, have my full blessing and support to sign whatever needs to be signed to get all of these important pieces of legislation enacted as soon as possible. And with that, I will take a vote by show of hands.
I record that approved unanimously, 7-0.
And with that, I believe in record time, we have ended a council meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Let's clap. Hold on. I'm still have the floor. I want to thank our city manager for instituting this process of not allowing items on the agenda that have not been reviewed for implementation by staff, and for my colleagues for supporting this process and just sticking to the agenda that we had. We got it out in record time as well on Wednesday morning. almost a week before the meeting, so I hope that this continues. And with that, I will entertain a motion to go to executive session or adjourn.
I move that we go to executive session for real estate, personnel, litigation, and cybersecurity.
All right, it's been, well,
Second.
all right, it's been properly moved and seconded. I will entertain that vote by a show of hands.
Do we need to go? She said yes, okay.
Discussion, Mr. Mayor.
All right, the chair recognizes Councilman Sebastian. And my apologies,
Thank
I
you all
should
for
have called
getting
for
to
that.
this meeting in record time, but I just want to put on the record that where I am, it's actually after midnight already, so technically I didn't get an early day. And that's my comment. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. All right,
Love y'all,
and I recorded that vote as unanimous?
Yes, unanimously, we are recessed at 6:28 PM for executive session.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. I'll entertain a motion to reconvene.
I move to reconvene from executive session.
Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded that we reconvene from executive session. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, are we ready for the question? Show of hands.
Court, that is unanimous. We are reconvened at 7:06 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Were there any items coming out of executive session that require a public vote?
No, there were no items that require a public vote from executive session.
Thank you. In that case, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded that we adjourn. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, are we ready for the question? Show of hands that we adjourn.
I record that as 7-0. We are adjourned at 7:07 p.m. Thank you and have a good evening.
Amen. Good night and good luck.